Hi, welcome to the Healthy Mummy Movement. Healthy home, healthy food, healthy gut, happy child summer. And today I have Madonna Guy. How are you?
I'm really well, thanks, Jade.
Fantastic. And I will let the viewers know a little bit about you. So, Madonna Guy has been a naturopath since 1995 and started her kinesiology journey in 1996. She believes she's had some of the greatest role models in both fields ever since and can't imagine life without her career. Madonna runs a small practice with several other practitioners in Wynnum, Brisbane, and believes that different modalities all support each other so that clients find answers and solutions to their health challenges. She has been a regular on radio stations 4BC and 100.3 Bay FM for over 10 years. She started her YouTube channel nearly a year ago to inspire people about natural health and kinesiology protocols that she's learnt and developed over 20 years of clinical practice. Madonna has utilized her unique combination of naturopathic knowledge to create a unique blend of skills and protocols which support many of today's challenges. Everything from chronic fatigue, chronic pain conditions to autism, ADHD, allergies, and eczema. Asthma, sorry. At New Leaf, we believe that all health conditions can be supported and all people need physical, emotional, and spiritual nurturing. I love that. And you are so passionate about what you do, and the energy you have is absolutely incredible. I also have lots of energy, but watching you on your YouTube channels is very inspiring and what you do for your clients. So if you would love to start off explaining to the viewers what it is you actually do and maybe how your journey, maybe we'll start with how your journey began. That would
Okay. So my son Blaze is 27 years old, and I knew that I was going to do some study while he was a baby. We were living 2,000 kilometers away from anywhere, so we figured doing something by correspondence was a good idea. My mum got a rash from head to toe when we moved away, and it was a stress rash.
Mm-hmm.
She went to the doctor. All they wanted to do was give her steroids, use steroid creams. That was the only answer that they had. One of my aunties sent me a book with 3 pages on the side effects of steroids, corticosteroids at the time, and that book was called Pavo Roller, How to Get Well, and I read it from cover to cover within days, and it was the first time I had ever experienced or read anything about natural therapies. I'd never heard of a herbalist. I'd never heard of a naturopath.
Wow.
And yeah, it was really quite amazing. So about a month later, I started reading natural magazines, and I found a diploma course in naturopathy. So I did it by correspondence over 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Then,
I'm so glad I asked you about how it all began. This is interesting. Yeah.
Because my mum, I was just sort of like, when I read these side effects, I honestly had no idea. I was one of those kids. I was disappointed if I went to the doctor and I didn't get a name for what I had. Yeah. And, I was just one of those kids. I was a doctor kid, pure and simple. And we definitely were that sort of family, that's what we did. My brother's a GP. I've got a cousin who's an anesthetist. So, it's in the family. Yeah. Anyway. So then I finished naturopathy and I started doing a weekly massage roundabout with one of my good friends, Linda. And Linda, one week we were doing massage and her back felt totally different one week to the next. And as soon as I started massaging her, I said, "Oh my goodness, what have you done?" And she said, "I had an hour's kinesiology yesterday." I said, "What's that?" So sure enough, 6 weeks later, we were both booked in to do Touch for Health, which was the beginning of our kinesiology journey.
Wow. That's incredible. And I
tend to jump in.
What was that?
I tend to jump in. I'm one of these people. If I hear about something that sounds good, I jump on in.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that. Your energy reminds me a lot of me. And I think that's where I resonated with you a bit. I mean, I'm towards the end of my summit now, so I'm not so full of energy at the moment. Yeah. So, it's just I'm doing this for everybody. So I have had a little saying lately, I've put my light out to ignite everyone else's. So it's only for a short time. And I know exactly what I need to do to get my health, at the right level that it needs to be at. And I just need a little bit of sleep at the moment and I'll be fine. But so if I'm looking a little bit tired in the eyes, that's why. But your energy is amazing, and your passion, it shows through your soul over the actual over video. And that's why I wanted to do video and not audio with this, because everyone that I've spoken to has a passion for something, and they started down, their journey started for some reason. Everyone's story is different, but you can just see and feel, really the person, and you either resonate with them or you don't. And I think that's amazing that we can do that over video.
Incredible.
It is. And so I really did resonate with you, and I could feel, that passion. So that's why I wanted to chat with you. And I did not know what kinesiology was. I even still find it hard to say, but that's just me. Until really about maybe 3-4 months ago. Like, I hadn't even really heard of it. So I think,
right.
Yeah. And that's what got me very inspired to have you speak. And it was only about 3 weeks ago, I was at a friend's party, and her mum come over to me and started chatting, and she said she started kinesiology, and I couldn't believe it, because I hadn't heard this in years. People will probably be looking at me going, what do you mean you've never heard of it? Like, I hadn't heard of it. And and she said that the results she had from doing that has been incredible, and she'd only just started, only been like a week or 2 in. So
fabulous.
Yeah, if you want to explain to the viewers, and I'd love to hear too, what is kinesiology?
Kinesiology uses muscle testing to find out what's going on in the body. So it can be as simple as a muscle test that finds out whether there's good stomach energy or liver energy or spleen energy. It can get as complex as helping to reintegrate pathways in the brain. It can get as complicated as we want as practitioners. So if I'm doing it, say, for allergy testing or intolerance testing, you can firstly make sure that immune pathways are up and running in the body using acupuncture points and a combination of muscle testing plus combinations of acupuncture points. And if they're up and running, then you can test in relation to a certain substance or food. Now, just say, for example, dairy showed up for someone. How do you know whether it's the dairy itself, whether it's organic milk, whether it's the casein, whether it's the lactose, whether or not it's other particles in it, whether it's the pesticides, so
like, for instance, you could maybe still tolerate it, but you can't tolerate the toxins in it, for instance.
Exactly.
It might be that.
And there's been so many case studies where people's kids, for example, with, say, eczema, it's well known in my world that dairy and gluten are two things that can really irritate the gut and cause eczema, or be a link to the degradation of the immune system that creates eczema. So therefore, once again, what do? Do you take them off dairy altogether? But what if there was a solution in getting the body to recognize the particles of dairy better? So if, for example, it's the casein, maybe A2 milk's the better option. If it is something that is in the chemicals, is the organic milk a better option? So you can actually test all those things individually and find out what's going to be good for your child. I've got a grandbaby who's 16 weeks old at the moment, and he's very big. And he was having some issues with reflux a couple of months ago. So my son Blaze, knowing me very well, sent me through all of the, and this is a bit weird, but he sent me through all of the labels of all of the different formulas at the shop and asked me to muscle test up which one was going to be best for him. Because they'd tried several, and he was in a lot of pain. He was in excruciating pain. And there were only 2 that muscle. So my hubby, I got my husband Jason to be my surrogate for me, to be baby Teddy. And we just used him as a surrogate, and I checked out which one, and there were only 2 at the time that actually muscle tested up okay. So he's been alternating in those. One was a goat's milk formula, the other one was 100% organic milk formula. So
and
really well.
We went down a health journey, and all the viewers know this already, but if there's a new viewer watching, we went through our own health journeys, and we did go straight to almond milk straight away, because I had to get off had to detox my son's body 100%, where he couldn't even have sugar for 3 months. It was only for 3 months. Now, that was difficult, but he was climbing our cupboards and going through our bins. And it was a bit of it was funny at the time, but it sort of was sad at the same time, because he was only really young, and it's like, oh my gosh, like how much sugar does this child have, really? And all he'd had was formula, so it was obviously in the formula. And yeah, he just went off track, but we then snuck back in, and this is why you all have to do it, because what happened was he would see the Zymil milk, and I don't even like calling it milk, because even though I'm saying Zymil milk, I don't think it's milk at all, okay? But if we're going to have milk in this house, that's what it was. And that was the only thing we found, because it was, lactose free and whatever. So that was good for like a coffee, or the boys might have had organic wheat bix once a week or a couple of times a week. We're having a lazy day. And and that snuck back in. So my little son would see it, so he'd want it, so he'd sneak it when he could. And anyway, we've gone, he went back to having that, and I thought, I really wanted him to stay on almond milk, but sometimes it's hard, and that's why I suggest everybody has to change, everybody. And we now, I thought, well, there's no point in buying that all the time. I might just try the organic milk, like full cream milk, and see how we go with that, because it might, now I know more, it's probably actually the chemicals that were that's in full cream. And anyway, we've had no issues with it. So we drink organic milk now, but again, we don't drink lots of it. But it's those little things that some people have reactions to, isn't it? It's not just the dairy itself. Sometimes it can be the ingredients in it and how it's made.
Right. And it can even be the plastic tubings that attach from the cow's udder. You take it to where they're storing it. So there's actually chemicals that can get into the organic milk. So regardless of, and people can't be perfect, it's too challenging. And regardless, even if we're eating organically, we still have pollution in the atmosphere, we still have pollution in our water supply. So you just have to do the best you can.
Absolutely.
But I think that's why people really need to be thinking detoxification on a daily basis throughout life. Whether for us as adults, it's things like dandelion teas and green teas and things like that, rather than having coffee every single time. It's about working what our bodies need to keep us at a good, healthy level.
I say so we don't tip the bucket over. So just keep it. So
exactly.
And I use that a lot, actually. And it's true. And it's just changing those few little things. And we have said a few times on here that anyone that's watching that says, oh my gosh, like so much info, where do I start? Little tiny steps. If you're buying stuff already, just change it over. And I've used an example. If someone says they can't stop bread, like there's just absolutely no way that's happening. So for the way we think sometimes is, I'm not changing that, there's no way, so I'm just not doing anything, right? Whereas if you go, well, you just open your mind just a little tiny bit and go, okay, well, what's the better alternative? Okay, I can handle having sourdough as, and get rid of the actual bread itself, like the full gluten. I mean, you know what I mean? Like sourdough is a better option. So it's just, even if that's what it takes, everything matters, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Because things like grains, one of the big things that they do is destroy the villi in the gut when they're not organic. So non-organic gluten basically destroys the villi in the intestine. It creates leaky gut. It does it to everyone on the planet within 12 to 16 minutes. Like the studies have shown it. So, and then it depends on our makeup as human beings, whether we've got enough glutamine, vitamin A, vitamin D, all the nutrients we need to re-heal the gut lining. Do we have them there? And people like me who are fairly stoic gut-wise, I don't tend to have many gut issues. I obviously have good levels of glutamine and things like that, so my gut keeps healing. Whereas someone who has very low levels of that, they might need that as a supplement to help them through it during their naughty days, when they're having that they know they can't cope with. A lot of people know they can't cope, but they're fully addicted to them.
Yeah, definitely. So, and if that's what's going to happen, then they've got to top up their body with something else. Like at the moment with me working a few late nights and having lack of sleep, like I've made sure that I have I eat the right brain foods. I snack right. When I don't mind fasting, because, I think there's a lot of benefits in that, but I don't mean to fast. It's just,
yes,
I do, right? But then and then when I do eat, I know that it has to be something really good. That first thing that's going to hit my gut has to be good. It's just knowing these little things and being educated in these little things that really matter. So I've been really topping up my probiotics lately,
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yes.
just because I'm like, I need support at the moment. I mean, I feel fine, but I definitely need that extra support. So I've been taking more of that than I would usually.
Yes.
So probably just
when
getting me through.
The stress hormones are so damaging to the gut, damaging to the microbiota and the immune system. The cortisol actually attaches to receptors that stop immune cells from functioning properly. This is a big thing. So no wonder so many people, when they're sick, when they're under stress, they get sick. And probiotics, 90% of immunity is in the gut, the poor little gut. It needs support. Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, it's so interesting. And so you work with children as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
When kids are too small, we do surrogacy with the parents. So what that means is that if we've got a child on the table that is too small to actually do the muscle tests, we will muscle test the parents. Yeah. And sometimes once parents trust us, because there is another process where the child doesn't actually have to come in for the appointment, we can literally get the mother to say, I am now Rhiannon 100%, and we can muscle test to make sure that they are energetically working for their child in that moment. So that's a bit weird, but 20 years ago that wasn't the way I thought, but it really does work.
Wow. I was just talking with someone earlier about what we set off to our children. So if we're in the right frame of mind and we're calm and everything's working correctly in our body, we pass that over to our child.
Absolutely. So it's funny. Last week I had a little girl on the table and she was adorable, but as I was talking her through some of the processes, she's, I don't know, about 10 and having some difficulties at school. And as I was talking to her about what her fears were and that sort of thing, it wasn't about getting it wrong at school. It wasn't about the teachers rousing on her. It was about the parents rousing on her if she doesn't do well enough, because they're spending a lot of money at the school. And I looked over, I gently looked at the mum and I could see the tears coming down. Parents do the best they can, but nonetheless, there are things you can do to help the kids' brain. Nutrients. Oh my goodness, how many kids just have the wrong nutrition for their brain?
Oh, if they're not getting goosebumps, because it's just so bad.
Absolutely. If they're not getting in those essential fatty acids, if they're not getting in good quality protein, if they're eating too much sugar, if they're not getting in the probiotics, how is that gut-brain connection supposed to work?
Absolutely.
When we're feeding them full of sugar, and I think you're right. It's those incremental changes.
Yeah.
You sort of go, right, let's go from, things that are 40% sugar. Let's go down to a 20% sugar.
Yeah, every little thing matters.
Yeah.
And when my son just started school this year, he was the one that had the autoimmune disease, and he was coming home. First, to start with, he was eating the cucumber, the celery, the carrot. What else did I put in there? Sometimes tomatoes. And he was eating all that because that's what he used to eat here. And he wasn't allowed to have anything else. Oh, he'd have mashed avocado with little tiny crackers. He would eat all that. But then, you got to remember as well that he looked like the different child. There might have been another one in the class that does similar. But, he was like, just would come home with it. And I was chucking it and I was getting so cross because I said to him, like, your body, out of anyone, we all need it to survive, but your body needs it most, Kane. And, I was chucking it away and just, it hit me. And I thought, you know what? No, he's got to eat that from the car to home. If he's got it still in his school bag. So every day he never eats it. Oh my gosh, drives me mad. And I've said to the teacher, he's not allowed to go out and play until he eats it, but that didn't work either. So I don't want to be one of those parents that says, no, he is not to go out and play until he eats it. But I've left it and thought, you know what, we'll deal with it. So he eats it from the moment we get in the car till we get home. So there's things that we can just adjust to instead of stressing over it, because I felt like he wasn't getting, everything he needed during the day like he used to at home with me. I mean, he comes home and I feed them well anyway, but, he needs to be eating well at school. But, yeah, it's just those little tiny things that matter that we can adjust to, but instead of stressing about it, I guess.
That's right. Because the stress, the kids really do feel that.
Yes.
And quite often when we're treating kids, you see that mother-child, that real tug of war that they're having. And quite often I say to the mum on the way down to reception, I say, you really need to book in next. Because they had, quite often by the time they've found us, they've tried pediatricians and doctors, and they've been all over the place to try to get diagnoses and work out what's going on. And by the time they come into me, quite often, well, we found out he's got a cockroach poop allergy, but that didn't do much good. So all of a sudden, it's the kinesiology that, well, for us, it's the kinesiology that really starts reintegrating the brain and getting that happy, healthy home environment again.
That's the most important.
At this stage, years of stress, so they really calm down as well.
It's so true. I think that's really and I keep saying it's real. I've found out and I've learned so much. It's just a whole entire package, and it's learning how to deal with the stress, because the stress plays a big part on our immune system, obviously. And, it's just incredible that what you do, because it really does matter. And I think parents watching, it's full on being a mum. It really is. And, where we wear so many different hats and there's no time for ourselves. Like the other night I said to my son, he said, come down while I get dressed. And I was like, you're nearly 10. You can go down to the bedroom and get dressed yourself. And he goes, no, just come down. And I flicked the light. I went down, flicked the light, and I said, there you go. And he goes, no, come to the next room. We've got a pretty big house. So, put myself in his shoes. It's probably a little bit scared, but I think, oh, come on, don't be silly. There's nothing to be scared of. And we get down there and he's like, turn my light on as well in the bedroom. I was like, did you know my dinner is going to go cold? Like, it's just little things like that, that we freak out about. And, it was probably the only time I had poured a really hot vegetable soup. And I thought, I've probably got 5 minutes for it to cool down. But any more than that, I'm going to eat another cold meal. And that frustrated me, because he'd wasted my time turning lights on. But he's just a child. Like, we need to just stop and really think about it.
Yeah, that's right. And kids' brains are developing constantly. So by the time kids are about 10, there's the frontal cortex where we do things like algebra and high-level problem solving. That doesn't even start to develop until we're, say, 8 to 12 years old. So once kids are trying to, for us, it doesn't, it's nothing to say, just go down, you'll be fine, switch your light on. But in his brain, especially if he's got something going on where he's got a fear pattern running or a stress pattern running, it's driving in that unconscious brain. That unconscious brain really. And
then there's me saying, my dinner's going to go cold. Like, it's the only night I'm going to be able to have a warm dinner. We're all worried about ourselves. Like, and it's terrible, isn't it? Oh, gosh. And so, it does really, really affect them. And it spreads like wildfire through the whole family.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Yeah.
I've got another question for you. How does the kinesiology help with depression, anxiety, panic attacks? I mean, there's gut issues, inflammation. I'd love for you to go over that.
Yeah. So basically, when people are getting panic attacks and anxiety, their unconscious brain is in control all the time. And people who have you ever suffered from it? I've had a few panic attacks over the years, but they've been about very specific issues.
Oh my gosh, I just had one the other day. I've never ever experienced it. It was because there was it was to do with my summer. So, and I put it on my Facebook page. I've never, ever dealt with it ever in my life. I was shaking. I was short for breath. The kids were talking to me in the morning and I was trying to breathe and I was like, my gosh, my heart was going 100 miles an hour and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to calm down. I was worried about something that was out of my hands and I could not do.
Yes.
And did you know what? The lady was saying to me, don't worry, it'll be done. I'll tell you when to start stressing. And I'm worrying about something that I could not have controlled at all. And I thought about it too much and it was my brain just my brain did it. Like, it was just too much thinking. It was just ridiculous. So I topped up again with my probiotics. I took some minerals. I took some colostrum. I ate really well that day. I drank heaps of water. And within about half an hour of just topping up, I think it's good to have tools like in the house, because without that, I don't know how I would have gone, but it calmed down within about 15, 20 minutes. So
oh, beautiful.
I was lucky. But yeah, keep going. Didn't mean to butt in.
Yes. So, no. The process we use is called LEAP. So it's a learning enhancement acupressure program. But what it does is helps to take the unconscious brain out of control. Now, the unconscious brain is supposed to be in control for digestion and breathing and heartbeat. That is unconscious. We're not supposed to know that's going on. Yeah. But when our brain won't let up and we can't think clearly and logically and creatively, and we're going into that panic attack depression, all of the blood supplies in the rear of the brain, we're not getting a lot of frontal cortex activity. So the kinesiology helps to reconnect those little parts of the brain so that you get more, the more you do the kinesiology and the exercises we give you at home, the more pathways you have up and running, so your brain can kick into consciousness more easily under stress. So there are really specific protocols to reconnect different areas of the brain. Really quite fabulous. Yeah. The guy who developed it, Dr. Charles Krebs, he actually had 10% frontal lobe damage. He had, one of those nitrogen bubbles from deep sea diving. Yeah. So he was a researcher, North Queensland, turtles, something like that. Yeah. And he basically developed over several years the LEAP program, which... Wow. Yeah, he's amazing. Love him.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. So yeah, that's really interesting. What have I got here? What is your advice for people watching that feel like they are on so many medications?
Oh, wow. It's really about finding a good therapist who can start sorting out the underlying health. Yeah. Every medication we take has side effects. We all know that. And the way they affect your whole body, whether it doesn't matter whether it's blood pressure drugs or cholesterol drugs or ADHD drugs or asthma drugs, everything has a repercussion in the system. Yeah. So firstly, can we get your body back to normal without the drugs? Because sometimes the damage can be quite challenging to turn around. Just about everything can be, but it really depends on how long they've been on things. So we would absolutely look at the full history, pick the easiest ones first. Yeah. So, for example, if someone's been on, say, thyroid drugs for only a couple of years, then you've probably got more hope getting them off that than if they have been on, say, thyroid drugs for 20 years. Yeah. So by that stage, the thyroid's possibly totally deteriorated and really not functional at all. Yeah. Anytime you give the body a drug that does the function that your body's supposed to do, your body stops doing it. Yeah. So it's sort of like you really have to think about, what is this drug doing? How is it impacting on me? And I'm not talking short term. I'm talking people being on, say, blood pressure, cholesterol, blood thinners for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And now they know there are links with these things to stuff like Alzheimer's and dementia. Yeah. So we've been doing things in the background. If we can't get off the drugs, it's about going, right, what damage are they doing? If we're on cholesterol drugs, are we taking coenzyme Q10? If we're on antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs or beta blockers, are we taking nutrients for the brain like
that's right,
essential fatty acids? So it's about looking at the side effects first and foremost, working with the doctor if you can to try to start adjusting those doses. And hopefully people have got a good GP who understands that they want to just start to, because many doctors, they'll simply leave you on the same drugs forever.
Yeah, and I think, drugs are good for a quick fix.
Yes.
And that is really, I think, what they were really meant for in the first place, right? And
that's right.
We won't go into it, but, it's just gone too far and people are just on them now forever. And then they're needing, they're having symptoms, and then they're needing a drug to help that symptom. And then, whereas I think if you are put on a medication, again, work with your doctor, but like you said, go away, have a look at what you're on the medication for and look at how you can actually help that, whether it is blood pressure or whether it is diabetes, what do you need to be changing? Because
that's right.
9 times out of 10, you're not even going to be asked that when you walk into a doctor's, like, what are you eating? What are you drinking? Some do, but a lot don't.
That's right. And if just say you're taking Panadol every day or something like that for migraines every day, and then you go to a natural therapist who does a test that might find you're, say, magnesium potassium deficient. If you're magnesium deficient, your muscles aren't going to be as relaxed as they should be. Magnesium is a muscle relaxant. It's important for energy production. So if your magnesium is low, and a lot of things like soft drinks and coffees and all sorts of things leach magnesium from our bodies.
Yeah.
If you don't take magnesium, you'll be taking your painkillers for the rest of your life. So you've got to start, well, what's the cause of this? Why am I getting headaches? Why am I getting cramps?
Yes.
Why am I, getting sick all the time? Because there's always an underlying sort of reason for it.
So I think they're good for a quick fix, and that's really, that's all your doctor really only wants you to be on it, have it for a quick fix, but it doesn't seem to stay that way for lots of people because they're not, I guess, what you're educated in and then what the doctors are educated in are two completely different things. It's not their fault always. Like and I'm only talking from personal issues, like my own personal story. I'm not talking down the doctors because I think they started that journey because they wanted to help people.
Absolutely.
It's just the bigger, you got to look at the bigger picture where it all comes from.
With autoimmunity, we're getting more and more autoimmune diseases every year. I think at the moment it's like 115 autoimmune diseases they're now counting because it's just the combination of inflammation, immune dysfunction, and leaky gut, So when you really look at it, so many health conditions link in with that combination of things. So by putting people only on steroids or only on methotrexate or, there's a very few things that people can do. They work, they get people out of that autoimmune condition, but at what cost? What damage are we creating in the background? And how addictive are these drugs? Or how challenging are they to get off these drugs? Because these drugs are doing big functions in the body. So when you start
the quality while being on them doesn't change. I personally don't think so. I know when I stopped, the quality of changing and healing the gut was, oh my gosh, I would never ever go back. Just everything. You're like a new person.
Yeah. And so many doctors, and I'm talking autoimmune specialists, they simply don't know how to use diet to support the immune system. They don't know how things like bone broths are going to heal leaky gut. They don't understand that connection between immune dysfunction and autoimmune. They simply don't get it because they weren't trained in that way. They're really trained about how to prescribe medications. So, and to check it.
I think it is changing very slowly. We are getting there. It's, coming out a lot more. And I think it's great because that's what we really needed. Because, people will look at, like for yourself 10 years ago or 5 years ago, people would be like, she's crazy, and we all of my speakers would have at some point people gone, you are crazy, like there is no way. And same with me, I've had people look at me and just go whatever, like, and it's like, well, I'm walking proof that this works. It's really got to look at the gut microbiome and find things like you're doing, and it's just crazy. But now people are really interested to learn more and to listen because these people are they're seeing them change, and they're seeing their life come back, and they're like, wow, maybe there is something with this, so maybe I will learn a little bit more. And that's what this is all about, educating, I guess.
Exactly. So I think and I think people just need to find the right therapist. I think everyone, especially when we're unwell, we really need a team, someone that we know who has the information that we need so that we can get on the right journey. If we're on the journey to disease and, some people don't make it back.
No, that's so true. Very, very true. And I think it's very important that, you resonate, that anyone watching, that they resonate, like they might resonate with you. So they need to work with someone like you in that case. You really got to, and I think that's really important because you need to feel comfortable and you need to yeah, and I think again that comes down to the brain. So if you feel comfortable with the person and you're
Yeah.
relaxed, then you're just gonna believe it. You're gonna go with it, and it's gonna work.
Yeah. And I think with things like natural therapies, my sister was in London for 15 years and she actually tried to find a naturopath to make her a herbal mix that I'd made her years ago. And she was surprised when the naturopath only sat and chatted to her.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
But my clients who have been seeing me for 22 years, they know they're going to be up on the table. And, you know, I can't even prescribe which vitamin C to give someone unless I hop them up on the table and muscle test the best form for them and how much they need.
Yeah.
I feel like a charlatan when I don't muscle test. It's pretty fun. Yeah.
You got so much energy. I highly recommend everyone watching jump over, just type it, go to YouTube and type in Madonna Guy. You don't even have to type in kinesiology, you'll just come up.
Yes.
I think there is a few other Madonna Guys, but type in Madonna Guy, they'll see you straight away. They'll see a table and someone on it and see you working on them. So I highly recommend just go over there so you can actually see, because some people still might be sitting here going, but still, what is kinesiology? Like, what do you do?
Exactly.
So can you show them a little tiny bit? Can you do it on yourself or not?
Well, for example, the acupuncture points are all over the body. We've got thousands of acupuncture points. So when we're working on someone, we will actually do the process of stacking in different points. And each time we then grab the arms and we muscle test, and things will either lock or they'll unlock depending on whether there's a stress or not. Yeah. And then once you've got it locking, you can then ask specific questions. So for example, if someone's stressed, we could ask fear and fear problems and then stack in the points. And if it unlocks, fear is one of those things that totally disconnects the left and the right sides of the brain. Wow. So then you do a little diffusion on that. So it depends as to the combination of acupuncture points. Different combinations take us to different areas in the brain. Yeah. So when we start working with someone, I like making a story for people about what's going on in their brain. Because let's face it, the brain's a bit boring. So, you know, at least when I'm sort of finding out that, like for you, you know, when you had your little anxiety attack the other day, when your brain is going, quite often it's a part of the brain called the anterior cingulate gyrus. And it's a little loop, and it sits just in underneath the logical and creative hemispheres of the brain. So when we can't get a solution, quite often that thought process is going around and around and around and around.
That's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's sort of like, that's the sort of time when to stick on your music, exactly like what you did, go back to basics. Yeah. But, you know, put on your essential oils, turn on some music, have some water, make yourself a herbal tea, you know, get into a healing mindset to change the way that your brain's functioning. Yeah. So that you just can click out of it. Yeah. Because music's amazing for reconnecting the brain. Things like essential oils, they get directly into the amygdala where those fight, flight and rage and anger and fear, threat, danger and pain and punishment circuits are. So people say music is very healing. And it's funny, I can be home all day because I'm always home and I don't have any music on ever. Everyone says that is so weird that you do not have any music on. I said, to be honest, I think I'm nosy. I'm like, what's that noise? What's that noise? Like, because if I had music on, I wouldn't know what's going on. So I don't know. I've just never, I think it's quite a good thing that I haven't had to rely on music. Yes. I don't know. That's my little theory for myself. But on your videos, and I highly recommend everyone go over and watch them, but it's incredible. So when you're doing like the arm and unlocking, and you know exactly what's going on, and you name, stuff, the immune system's suppressed, there's brain fog, or, it's just incredible. Yeah. And I think that's, once again, I've had such fantastic trainers over the years. So because we basically, to do LEAP, you basically do the amount of brain physiology that they would do at Harvard for neurologists. So, that's the sort of level we get into. So, it's not just a weekend course, this has been over years. Yeah. Charles is amazing. He knows a lot of the major researchers around the world to do with brain physiology. Yeah. And so he would often muscle test areas of the brain before they knew what these areas were doing. So he would be helping people with fixing them years earlier. And then the research would go, oh, by the way, the cerebellum isn't only to do with motor movement, it's also got this whole emotional connection to it. So yeah, he often knew that before research had proven it. But let's face it, research often proves things we already know, doesn't it? You
Absolutely.
know?
That's like when all this gut health stuff's come out more and more and more on the news, on the news, on ads. It's like, really? Or there's, you know, they've just found out, you know, gut microbiome, and it's like, really? I've known this. And you know what? I've only known it for 3 years. That's not long. I mean, I know people that have known this for 15, 20 years. You know, and there's me going,
when you don't need to know it, there's no need either.
No.
So when your health is coping and life is good, you don't need to know these things. And people get away with doing just the normal Western everything until they don't.
Yes.
You know, and all of a sudden their body kicks up a stinker and goes, yeah, I'm not letting you do that anymore.
Yeah. And a lot of people now are, you know, do want to go more naturally, want to try to do the right thing. And everyone knows if they're doing something wrong.
Exactly.
You know, I used to wake up in the middle of the night and there used to be Coke in our fridge. I used to drink Coke all the time. I used to get up in the middle of the night and have a swig of it, like disgusting, even in the bottle.
And, right.
Like, you know, I'd have just to have a quick swig and then back to bed. But I woke up because I was thirsty. You know, I wake up now, which I rarely do. When I go to sleep, I'm out to it. But it's water. We don't have anything in our house unless we're having people over and there's alcohol involved. Like, you know, that's the only time there will be something other than water.
Yeah. And I think people, you know, every so often they do research on whether water is important for us, you know, and I always find that amusing when they do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's ridiculous. Oh my gosh, my phone's going crazy. Sorry.
But, you know, the body is that 70-80% water. Water is so important. And how often is hunger mixed up with thirst?
Yeah.
You know, so many people, when people get the munchies and they really start to eat away, and then all of a sudden they go, oh, right, I haven't had any water today. Brain's giving you a message. We just don't listen.
Oh, no, we don't. And I think people actually, you know, well, this used to be me. I thought, okay, I'll just need to eat and I just need a drink and I'll survive. You know, it doesn't matter what I drink. It doesn't matter what I eat. I'll survive. That's how in denial I was. I had no idea about health. Like, no wonder we were so sick. No wonder my son got so sick, because I was so unwell, and then I carried him, you know, and then I gave birth to him. So all of my issues passed over to him. And, you know, I get that now. But before I had no idea. And you just sort of think, well, if it's there, it has to be okay for you. Otherwise it wouldn't be sold. So I think that's how a lot of people also still are thinking. But yeah, very interesting stuff. So I was one of those crazy, just eat and drink and I'll be right. No, doesn't work like that.
There's a lot of people out there who do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much. I'm sure the viewers have received loads of information, learned a little bit more about kinesiology, and I highly recommend to go and see you down in Brisbane, up in Brisbane, down in Brisbane, wherever you are. So definitely look Madonna Guy up. And can anyone work with you? Do you work with people online?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do Skype consults, and we also do surrogate balancing. So we can actually do surrogate balances for people. So it means that there's a few of those on the YouTube channel as well. I know it's totally nuts and crazy, but we get a huge amount of information from someone first with what they want to work on, and then basically I video the session for someone, and then I upload it onto a private channel on YouTube so that they can watch it in their own time. So I'm really talking to them about their problems. They're not live throughout that. I have one of my team members on the table as the surrogate, and because it takes a day to upload things, you know.
Yes.
So
I know what that's like.
So yeah, we can do surrogate balances for people, which we've been doing for a long time with great success.
That's incredible. And that's why I've seen a lot of private videos. So they would be, yes, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool.
Yes. So anyway, that's a bit of fun. But yeah, if you can come and see us in the clinic, hands-on is just great fun. Have you actually had a kinesiology session yet?
I'm so going to have one. No, I haven't. And like after watching you, I just was like, I need this. I just want to go experience it, and I want to, see how I feel after. That was one of my other questions. How many sessions do people need before they start seeing a result? Probably first one.
Well, yes, some people, like the comments are, I never expect people to have a particular change. If someone has been in chronic stress for 20 years, then I'm hopeful their brain will work a bit better, that they'll have a bit more energy, that they'll feel a bit less stressed. That's sort of what I expect. But the comments that people come back in with is that they feel uplifted and they just felt calm, and that they just had no care factor for the rubbish that's going on in their life. So quite often we've taken those survival patterns off, their conscious brain is back up and running. And because we've done, and you can imagine it's a bit of a counselling session through the process as well. So, you know, all of a sudden it all makes sense.
Yeah.
They don't know why Frankie, when hubby says what time's dinner, they don't know why, you know, turning off light is such a big issue.
That's so funny. Yeah, but mind you, I've got a pretty good excuse for that. My husband starts really early in the morning, and he rings me at 7:30 a.m. and go, hey, good morning, babe. How are you? What's for dinner? I have not even got up yet.
That's mean.
So, yeah, and, you know, they never starve. They've been fed every night.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that's funny. No, very, very interesting stuff, and I really thank you. And can you let the viewers know you've got a free gift, and what is that, please?
So we have either an hour free session with Georgia if they come into the clinic. So that's one thing that they can do. But I also have a free meditation online that helps to reintegrate their chakras and pathways in the brain.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, and I'll have the link for that. Everyone will have that emailed to them. So if you haven't seen that already before clicking on this interview, then go back, and it's sitting right underneath where you clicked interview to watch this, and it will have free gift there. And if you're in Brisbane, lucky you get an hour free session. So that's awesome. And obviously, you know, not obviously, but this stuff works. Otherwise there wouldn't be a clinic open and people continuously going back. It's people that have tried it, and, you know, it's just a word of mouth, and, you know, it works. So give it a go, and you can see it live on YouTube. So yeah. And your webpage, can you let everyone know your webpage? I have that written down.
So it's www.newleafnaturaltherapies.com.au.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Madonna, and I love your name too. Thank you.
Thanks, Jade. You're a champion.
No
what
worries.
A great job doing for everyone.
Thank you, and I appreciate your time. All right, thanks everyone for watching. Like we said, the information's all there, and any questions, email, and you can, I'll answer them. Thank you. Bye.